buy your treasury bonds for 6 months. Now, we've got a rather substantial flow that has begun. And I called a top on the 10 and 30-year treasury bonds a couple of weeks ago in a public article. By that I mean, from here on, it's going to be just downhill on value of the treasury bonds. Typically, the biggest safe haven in the world is the U.S. Treasury bond. It is regarded widely as a safe haven, as a resort of ultimate value, of no risk at all of default. Well, there's a growing risk of U.S. Treasury bond default, and there's a growing risk of UK, United Kingdom gilt, their bonds, their default. So we're starting to see now a movement where Treasury bonds are falling and gold is rising. And that is the typical way that gold has risen in the past, but not in the last 2 or 3 years. The last 2 or 3 or 4 years, when gold has gone from 300 or 400 up to 700, 800, 900, 1,000, the Treasury bonds had done pretty well. It had been pretty much a phenomenon of money flying all over the place, everywhere. Crude oil going up, copper going up to $3, $4. Everything's going up. Natural gas 15. Well, everything's being cut down now. Isn't it interesting that gold is the best performing of all the commodities? And I don't mean to insult gold by calling it a commodity. It's money. Now, there's a whole lot more. You got all this stimulus that's coming. We've made commitments for up to $9 trillion, over $9 trillion if you count the latest stimulus package from Obama. Well, this comes at a time when our creditors are saying that we can't buy your issuance of bonds. Interesting. That means Joe printing press. So the Bernanke printing press is going to be tooled up, oiled up, and going to be pumping like crazy. There's a very important concluding remark that I'd like to make regarding the U.S. dollar and gold. If you look at the last decade, there are very few instances, very few periods of time where you can say, look at that, the dollar went up or the dollar was flat and gold rose. No. You cannot say that there are many examples where both the dollar and gold did well. No, it's not the way it typically works. If even the dollar is flat, gold just does not go up. There's typical, I call it a teeter-totter. They're inverse correlated, something like minus 65% correlation, the Pearson row in statistical parlance. But we now have a situation for the last 2 months where the dollar had gone up and had topped a bit, and during that entire period, gold rose from the 730, 750 zone, and now is over 900 and stable. And at the same time, silver went from 950, 10, and has gone up to 12 and is stable. Now, these two could certainly come down a little bit, but what I think the message to take home from this, in conclusion, is that gold is going up, the dollar is struggling, and if gold goes up much more, we're going to see perhaps what I had talked about in an article a couple weeks ago. We might see an overnight event of rather historic proportions for the dollar. I mean like a significant 15, 20, 25% decline in the dollar overnight. I don't mean like this takes 2 or 3 days. I mean like you wake up in the morning and there's a global currency shift crisis, and the authorities might even be behind it because these clowns are so off base. They haven't gotten one thing right in their forecast, except Goldman Sachs shorting mortgage bonds. I believe that they actually believe that if they cause a shockwave 20% decline in the dollar, that we will have instant stability after that. They're dead wrong. It's going to cause a number of cascading domino events to occur, like margin calls, like crude oil goes up 20, 30%. What happens if crude oil goes up $15 to $25 in one night? You think that causes stability? No, it's shockwave.